This week in One Piece, new promos, old winners, and the same old story with pre-release prices. I'm Marineford TCG and welcome to This Week in One Piece. So first off, starting as ever with the new cards, there's only 4 this week. We've got one promo for each of the Yonkos. This is Shanks, he's a 10-12, with the Red Hair Pirates type. On play, and when attacking, your opponent cannot activate blocker during the turn. So this effectively turns off your opponent's blockers forever once he hits the board, sort of in a similar-ish way to things like Roger. Of course, Roger, when nobody is at 0 life, does not really have much of an effect. However, he does gain Rush on the turn he comes down, which is pretty nice. I think Roger is probably broadly better than this Shanks, but you never know, because he's searchable, we may see experimentation in Shanks builds. Next up, we've got Buggy. This is a 10-12 with the cross-skilled type, blocker, and on play, if you do not have 5 characters with the cost of 5 or more, place this character at the bottom of the owner's deck. So, obviously, this is only a Buggy card, and Buggy can cheat it out for 5 Don. However, you have to compare it to the currently existing 10-cost Buggy that bottom decks anything, and then has that same clause where it is removed from the board. I think this compares fairly poorly to that old Buggy. Removing one target is usually better than being a blocker, but in some decks that have anti-removal properties, this could be okay. However, I don't think he's too likely to see too much play. Next up, we have Luffy. He's a 10-12 with a Straw Hat Crew type, and I think this is the worst of them, like quite significantly. When attacking, you can do Don -10 to restand this character. This is just like Nika, right? Nika on play comes down, does Don -10, you get rid of all your dudes and you get another turn. I think I would pretty much always rather have another turn on play than just restand when attacking for Don -10. This seems really costly. And last up we've got Teach. This is a 10-12 with the Blackbeard Pirates type. When attacking, negate the effects of all of your opponent's characters and leaders during this turn. So in some key threats like Enel, Bonnie, this when attacking is very powerful. However, in Blackbeard himself, this seems a little slow. The 10-cost Blackbeard blocker, I think, is just a stronger choice. It's a blocker, it buys you out of 1 attack, but effectively buys you out of 2 with the block, and does negate that leader's effect on your turn still. Where I think this has a little bit of promise is in something like Purple Black Luffy. If you can ramp and play this, giving other leaders the opportunity to use Blackbeard's like negate style effects could be quite interesting. I don't think this is likely to see a ton of success, but it's quite interesting. Moving on to the news. First up, we've got the Pirates League store qualifiers. We've got the visuals of the promos you're going to receive for this. So if you're not familiar, this is an event where you're going to qualify at your store, and then your store is going to send a team of 3, along with their support crew of up to 10, to One Piece Nationals to compete in sort of like a little side regional called the Pirates League. I've got more details from that in an old This Week in One Piece, but these are the dates you might need to know, and these are the new promos that we're going to get. We're getting an alt-art version of When You're at Sea You Can Fight Against Pirates. This one is for participation, and then this beautiful full-art foil version is for the winner of the qualifier event. Unfortunately, this is NA only, so for my fellow Europeans or anyone from anywhere else, unfortunately we won't be getting these, but these look really clean, and this event, it's actually seeing quite a bit of play at the minute. Next up, over in the East, we're getting the release of these official acrylic card stands, which look pretty cool. These are coming out in Japan at the end of June, and they're going to retail for around $10 to $12. Got some pretty nice designs here. You've got the classic One Piece compass design, and you've got the design with all of the wanted posters. You can see all your favourite characters' wanted posters on there. These would be pretty nice if you have any particular cards you want to display in official One Piece style. Next up in the results section, we've got a couple of online events, and this first one was TAC Games Online Treasure Cup. This was taken down by Zhong Hao Jia with his green-purple Luffy deck, and you can see here the representation of the top 16. We had 6 green-purple Luffy, proving himself the menace of this format. 3 Blackbeard, 2 Zoro, 1 Enel, 1 Red-Blue Marco, which is pretty cool, 1 Black Smoker, which I love. I love a bit of Smoker. one Bonnie, and one yellow kid. Good amount of variety in this top 16, outside of course, the the green-purple Luffy in the room. Congratulations to Zong for their win. And of course, shout out to Eggman Events as ever for these graphics. If you want to see any of the other lists, such as that Marco list or the Smoker list, make sure you check out Eggman Events. And we had another TAC Games. This time it was online regional. And this one was taken down by Steven Iskandar with Green Purple Luffy. These Green Purple Luffy decks, man, they're dominating this meta. Similarly to how they did in the East. And in this one, we saw the top 16 of, once again, 6 Luffy, once again, 3 Teach, and then 2 Zoro, 1 Yamato, 1 Betty, 1 Lim, 1 Lucci, and 1 Green Uta. Once again, great amount of variety outside of the Luffy in the room. However, EB02 is fast coming to its end, and soon we'll be entering the OP11 format where things look to shake up quite a bit. Next up, we had a couple of Chinoise Cups. This was the Chinoise Cup winner manga, which was taken down by Pat with Green Purple Luffy. He's even winning the online local events now. Can this man ever be stopped? Well, maybe he can by Saiju, the serial winner of these Chinoise Cups. He's won so many of these now with his red purple Luffy deck recently. Really cool. Congratulations to Saiju for winning once again with a really cool deck. And last up, let's take a look at the culmination of Japan's OP11 format. So this is a graphic by OP Hirata, at OP Hirata on X. Make sure you give him a follow, one of the best accounts on X. And this is the total data of every flagship that happened in Japan for the month of May. And as a reminder, Japan now has OP12. So starting next week, we'll be playing OP12 in Japan. So this is really the end of the OP11 format. And maybe a little bit like what we could expect to see in the West. As he has been for most of this format, Blue-Purple Luffy still comfortably in the top spot. However, the other decks around him are finally catching up. The wave of aggro with Green-Purple Luffy, Bello Betty, Purple Luffy with that New Age ramp-focused build, and Zoro. All 4 of these decks really fast, really aggressive, designed to have the best chance they can into Blue-Purple Luffy. And they are now catching up 86 Green Purples, 72 Bettys, 59 Pluffies, and 44 Zoros. In terms of the other decks, we still see Teach having a bit of an impact. Teach, not that bad into Blue-Purple Luffy, honestly. But obviously this wave of aggro is going to be pretty rough for him to deal with. Teach didn't love aggro before, and I can't imagine he loves it much more now. We do have 28 unknowns. That's what this means. And then beneath that, we've got 25 Bonnies, 23 Red-Green Smokers, 21 Luccis, 13 Laws, 13 Namis, and we'll blast through these last ones quickly. 6 Shanks, 5 Reiju, 4 Purple-Black Luffy, 4 Kid, 3 Enel, Vegapunk, Kata, Yamato, Rosinante, Red-Blue Marco, Kobe, and Kata, 2 each of Red-Purple Luffy, Red-Green Luffy, Red-Green Odin, Dofi, what a fall from grace for him, Blue Nami, Usopp, Moria. And then the one-offs, we've got Black Smoker, we've got Black Yellow Luffy, we've got Yellow Lin Lin, Green Yellow Arlong, Green Uta, Purple Yellow Pudding, Green Purple Lim, Red Green Law, Red Sanji, Red ST21 Luffy, Red Purple Kid, and Foxy right at the end. Some real wacky decks. I mean, some of those leaders are Yellow Lin Lin. Bro, who's playing Yellow Lin Lin? That's crazy. I want to know this man. He's a maniac. But yeah, you can clearly see this format has sort of divulged into big man counters. It's not the most exciting, but hey, it's better than big man tier 0. And I'm excited to see how those starter decks shake it up in the West. And as we take a look at OP11 prices, always worth a reminder, we're still in pre-sale. Set comes out on Friday. That's when your big box stores will have it, and your LGSs will be selling even more stock. So, don't pay $15 for a Katakuri SR. This SR is really, really good. Don't get me wrong. And it looks like there's only stores selling it. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to assume that private sellers can't list on TCG Player until release date. Is that right? Let me know. We did have something sort of similar in Card Market, where private sellers can only sell once pre-release hits, like pre-release events. But looking at these sellers, I'm assuming it's only stores that can sell before street date in the States, which is why this is so high. $15 for this, no thank you. That was Sanji and Pudding prices, and that set was really short print. OP11, I've not seen really anything suggesting that it's going to be short printed. The next most expensive SR, Nami for 12. Again, it's crazy. $12 for this. No, I think this is more like maybe a $5 card, maybe a $6 card. It's a very powerful SR, playable in any blue multicolored deck, but $12 is just kind of silly. And these alt arts, $162. I got one of these. Does anyone want to buy mine for $160? This is mental. Why would you pay this? Some people just got more money than sense. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. Let's look at the rest of the SRs. Beige is the next most expensive at 5. That's interesting. The green-yellow lore hype from the CS last weekend. Taking over a little bit, I guess. Putting at 4. Katakuri only, really, that plays this. $5 for Helmeppo. Yeah, all these other SRs, even like the mid ones. Kujaku's, that's actually reasonable, you know? $2 for Kujaku, I don't think that's that bad. She's definitely a better card than Hibari. Because this is playable in Red Green Smoker as well. And maybe even Garp, if you're like a Garp Coper. I saw VV Theory did a video on Garp recently. If you're a Garp fan, check out VV's videos. Probably all the Garp content you're going to get anytime soon. But it was a good video, I did enjoy that one. Jinbei about 3. Yeah, sure. And then we got all these alts. Some of them are actually falling quite nicely already. The doll, not super playable, but man, I love this art for reasons that we won't go into. Stunning. Speaking of Garp, this Garp at 40 is crazy. I mean, this art goes hard. This is Igawa, right? This looks like Igawa. I'm gonna. Can we scroll in? Have a look. It is Igawa. I knew it was Igawa. I love Igawa. Igawa does great art, man. And this Garp's no exception. Crazy card. But only really playable in that Starlight 14 Luffy, so... yeah. And when we hop over to Card Market in a minute, you can see how different some of these prices are. Let's do that now, actually. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. Let me log in. Then we'll go to OP11. Singles. We'll sort by SRs. Why not? We'll go for SRs. Click on the grid. Then we'll pull up the USD to GBP. So for every £10, that's $13.5. That's a good frame of reference. And here, let's take a look at Katakuri, right? So Katakuri in America was $15. That's over £10. The UK, £6. £6, $8, about half. And I think this is pretty reasonable, honestly. And one of the big differences here is that private sellers can now sell on Card Market. Street date is not what limits you on who can sell. It's the pre-release date. Once people can actually get their hands on these cards legitimately, Card Market's like, fuck it, you can sell. So Katakuri at 6, honestly, I don't think is that bad. I think that's... I might pick mine up relatively soon, actually, which is kind of rare for me and pre-sale prices. £6 for Nami as well. Again, that's about that $8 mark. She was 12, so not as much of a difference, but still a good difference from the States. And in fact, if we turn off the UK filter, these prices will come down even more, right? Yeah, you can pick this up for £4 in mainland Europe. That's what, like $5, $6? Crazy. For what it's worth, I don't think this £4 is that bad for how strong this card is. It's a 4 in blue-purple Luffy. You play it in blue-yellow Nami. And if you've got any other blue multicolour leaders that you like to play, it's always a consideration. It's just better than Queen. I know we've seen how good Queen is over the years. The rest of these SRs, all kind of dirt cheap, honestly. This pudding was like $4. Yeah, and you could pick this up for £1. It's crazy the difference between Card Market and TCG Player sometimes. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Let's take a look at some alt arts. I'm interested in the alt arts. Let's have a look. Where's the Luffy leader? Here he is. Look at this, man. £60. £60. And that, well, you could have worked that out. It's $80. Over here, it's $160. Again, half the price. If you're in America, look, these aren't going to necessarily come down as low as European prices will. But these prices are clearly ridiculous. Please just do yourself a favor. Save yourself some money, and don't buy these yet. At least give it a week. At least give it a week. If you've got a regional coming up, like straight away in this format, you can build the whole of Bello Betty for like $10, and that is a seriously competitive deck, this format. I know you might want to play the blue-purple Luffy, but if it's going to set you back multiple hundreds that you're not going to need to spend in 1 week's time, I don't know, it's kind of crazy to me. I'm just not, personally. But maybe I'm just too tight. Either way, let's go back to the alt arts, taking another look. Where's that GARP? That GARP was $40 in America. £8. So that GARP, right? Where is he? Where's he gone? Here he is. If you're in America, you can pay $40 to get one of these. If you're in Europe, $10. This is realistically, I think, about where this should be. Maybe a little bit higher because the art is fire. But this isn't a meta card. Like, Starter Deck 14 Luffy is not a meta leader. So, charging $40 for this GARP, that's wild to me. Absolutely wild to me. Across the board, these prices are going to fall more. Like, the set's only been out for, well, at the time of recording, 4 days since pre-releases. And there's still going to be more pre-releases going on up to Friday this week. And then, like I say, the big box retailers will be shipping out all their stocks on Friday. So you'll see massive changes on Friday. This set doesn't look to be the same as EB02 with the short printing. They seem to have fixed that issue for the main sets. It's just the side sets that, I don't know, the last one was a bit dodgy. Some of these prices are cool though, like the Zeus for 20 quid. I'm pleased it still has some value. Buy mine, it's overpriced. I listed this ages ago. Yeah, I'm pleased some of these cards do still have value. I love alt arts to have value. Just not scam artist value. Like, it's crazy. Oh, this is another big difference on this one. The Gum Gum Pistol Red Hawk. I'm going to just take mine down. That price was well old. Yeah, look at this. $73 or £25. What's that? That's 25. $33. Way less than half. Nearly a third. That's crazy. Just, if you're in Europe, low-key, these prices are not that bad. They'll probably continue to drop over the next week or so. I would be surprised if they didn't. However, if you've got tournaments and you're a European, I really don't think these prices are that bad. In the States, no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Let's take a look at some other cards, and as I like to do, we're going to compare TCG player to card market. So Sanji has sort of stabilized around that $40 mark, which, given how important this is for the likely best deck in the game, you know, it is what it is. It's one of those. Let's have a look on the card market. I think this one's actually creeping up as well for us over in Europe. Yeah, this is going up to around £22, so nearly $30 now. Yeah, around $30, so it's still around $10 or so cheaper in the EU. But this seems to be stabilizing around $40. If Blue Purple Luffy doesn't see as much success in the West, maybe those starter decks change something that we haven't properly evaluated, then this could drop. But outside of that, I don't see this falling anytime soon. Likely to get a reprint in PRBO2, but that's not till, what, like, is it September? Yeah, it's September for PRBO2. So if you want to play Blue Purple Luffy, this is the price. I don't think this one's going to drop anytime soon, personally. This one, though, I think will continue to fall. I mean, look at this. We saw this around like $75 throughout the start of the EB02 format, and now he's down to $57. I still think this is a little high, and let's take a look on card market. EB02 Luffy. There he is. Um, I'll remove mine. Yeah, around like £35. You know what? That's not that much lower. If we plug that into here, yeah, $47. Again, about $10 cheaper in the EU, but not a significant difference. And I do see this continuing to fall, unless maybe purple black Luffy becomes incredibly dominant and needs loads of these. And we'll just have to see, but yeah, this card is going to stay pricey. It's inherently very, very powerful. And unfortunately from that short printed EB02 set. Next up, here he is. He's in all these videos. Mr. 2. He's stabilized at 75, which is just foul. This card is important for Blue Purple Luffy, Purple Luffy. I've seen playing Purple Kata, Purple Yellow Pudding sometimes. It's just really good purple stuff, and it's old. EB01 is old now. Nobody's opening more EB01, I can tell you that for free. We will get this reprinted in PRB02 in September. You have to assume, but again, that's a long way away. That's 3 months yet. And 3 months where purple looks to be the best colour in the game by fairly far. Let's take a look over in Europe. I think this one's creeping up again. Yeah, £35. I mean, it's no $75, don't get me wrong. That's about the same as the last card, right? Yeah, about just under 50 bucks. But still, this is expensive for a secret rare. And even considerably worse in the States. Next up, Green Yellow Law saw quite a bit of success over in the recent Tokyo CS. And as a result, some of his cards are being bought a little bit. Only a small increase for Law so far. Around $10. But still, $10 in like a couple days. That's pretty notable. And if this does get potentially even better in the West, with the introduction of that 2-cost Kid and Killer Searcher, this could rise more. If you're a Green Yellow Law fan, I'd probably get the leader sooner than later. $35 for a playable leader is really not that bad. Let's take a look in the EU. Where is he? No, not that one. Definitely not that one. Although there's a bit of insight into our manga prices, I guess. Here he is. Yeah, £20. £20 was what, around $25? $27. So, yeah, about $8 less. This hasn't risen as much in the EU. In fact, not really risen at all in the past month. So if you're an EU Law player, you could consider picking one of these up. Law, I mean, it showed its worth, right? It's been good in Japanese, OP11 towards the end. And he's only getting buffed from these starter decks, so, you know, I think Laws are pretty exciting at the moment. And in the same vein, a couple of Law type cards. Of course, Cavendish playable in more than just Law. Going to be good in Zoro. It's already good in Bonnie. However, this is very important for your Green Yellow Law deck. And this had finally seen a bit of a decline to $30. A decline to 30. That's a crazy sentence. But yeah, now it's back at 44. Man, what a time to be alive. I'm not sure what this is like in the EU. Let's take a look. Okay. There's a bunch here for under £20, which is $27. That's quite the difference. That is quite the difference. $17 difference. I have noticed this quite a bit with some of the EB01 cards, especially that the EU is considerably cheaper. I wonder if EB01 wasn't as short printed in the EU as it was in America, maybe? Not sure. Let me know what you think about that, but yeah, these prices still kind of suck, but they're not that bad. $20 for this. I bet there's some Americans wish they could pay that. Here's Trafalgar Law. This one's lightly played. So let's take a look at a near mint one. Okay, there's still 16. Risen about $4. You know, I think this is a reasonable buy at this price. It's a good secret rare. Let's pull it up over here as well. Seeing play in, once again, that Green Yellow Law. Really good in that. But also important for Kid. And going to be important for that Rosie deck in the future. Yeah, around £10. This is what I bought mine at. I bought my playset very recently. About a week or two ago. Paid around £10 a copy. Which this has... Don't be fooled by this graph. This was a little bit lower about a week ago. I'm not quite sure what's going on this graph. But either way, I think this for 10 is very reasonable. Even for the $17, it's not too bad. Next up, a couple of cards that have been influenced by the recent success of the blue-yellow army. Look at this one. $10. Bang. 22. 25. Man, that's crazy. I've got 4 of these. If you're an American, you want to buy mine for 25 bucks each, hit me up. That's crazy. I'm sure this isn't anything like that in the EU, right? Do you know what? It's creeping up. $8. Sorry, £8. Yeah, it's been £6-7 for a while. It's creeping up to 8. And there's not that many available at that $8 price mark. So yeah, you do rapidly get up to 12. There's one in the UK for 10. But yeah, this is this is from, which one is it? Best Collection 2? I think it's Best Collection 1 or Best Collection 2. I'm not sure which, but this art does look really, really good. It's one of the main reasons I bought that file when it came out. I picked up 4 just because I like the alt arts. I'm a sucker for alt arts. As much as I don't cover them that much in the market watches, I buy a load of alt arts. If you think I should cover more alt arts in these market watches, let me know, because I do spend a lot of money on them. More than I should. Really more than I should. Let's move on to a non-alt art. We've got Nojiko. And yeah, this was around $1, and $3 for an uncommon sucks. But like, good luck getting these. Who's opening OP03, man? Like, right now, who is opening OP03? And let's take a look over here on card market. I know this is one that shot up in the UK. Yeah, there's a few one-offs for 2p, but then you've got to put on postage, so this is more like about £1.20. Don't be fooled. The trending's about 50. And I know, I'll show you something. If you filter by UK only, I'm pretty sure this is, yeah, £3. So if you want to get one in the UK, this is like more expensive than America. We did it. We found a card that's more expensive over here. I got my playset of these a while ago. When Blue Yellow Nami was revealed, I paid a few pennies, I think. Nothing crazy. Maybe like 20p each. But yeah, this was always a card that if Nami was successful, was going to be good. And honestly, I don't think this is going to get reprinted. I see no reason for them to reprint Nojiko in PRBO2. It's coming out even earlier in Japan. Quite soon, actually. And I'm pretty sure the list for that set will have been finalized quite a while back. In PRBO1, we only got up to set 6. So anything more recent than set 10, I don't think we'll be getting reprints. Which could spell disaster for 9-cost Sanji, given that he only started seeing success in set 11. However, I really don't think Nojiko will be in that. But £3 or $3, whatever, for an uncommon, it's crazy. Eustace Kid is another one. Yeah, because of the Nami, this has shot up. The SR hasn't actually risen that much. It's still, I think, like $3. But the alt art has risen up to 30 from 13, which is nuts. Let's take a look on card market. Kid, OP10, this one. There you go. Yeah, you can still pick these up for around £11, so that's quite reasonable. If you're a Nami enjoyer and you like alt arts, £11 for these, really quite reasonable. And this looks like a decent card going forwards for yellow decks. Just burning life is so good at the minute with how defensive all these decks are playing. So you can have the ultimate defense, but if you've got no cards and you've got no life, you're going to lose at some point. And Kid could be pretty instrumental in getting there. We'll just have to see. Next up, Bello Betty Leader. Really? Was this already at $55? I've got to see something. I've got to see something. Is this chart like bugged or something? That's crazy. Was this really always $30 in the States? I swear this is dirt cheap in the UK. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally out of whack on this one. Wow, I guess I am. This was always a £30 alt leader. I swear I paid really cheap for mine. Although I suppose that was a while ago, but I mean, this chart goes back to December. You can go back further. Okay. I'm seeing it. I think this was around when I bought my alt. like last year at some point. And yeah, this rose sort of in December. Why did this rise in December? Let me know in the comments. Did this get like a random top or something? But either way, I found this price crazy. I guess it hasn't risen. I take that back. I really thought this had risen when I saw the price. But I didn't look at the chart before recording this, so do your due diligence, I guess. But yeah, Bello Ready just won a CS out in Japan, which is really cool to see. And OP05 in general, right? Look at the leaders. Enel, great. Purple Luffy, really, really good. Bello Betty now winning. Sakazuki, banned. The only other two is it's Red Black Sabo and what's the last one? Oh, and Rosie. Yeah, okay. Those two kind of suck. Rosie, he's been getting some chatter recently. I've seen gameplay of it. The deck looks terrible. I've played against some, and I'm not seeing it. If I'm missing something on a Rosie leader, let me know. Maybe I need to try and give him a go myself. But yeah, either way, this Betty leader for 50 is... It's not that bad, considering how old this leader is. But that's actually quite surprising. I thought that was a recent rise. Completely wrong. Buggy, however, is a bit of a recent rise. Gone up from 25 to 33. Not the biggest increase in the world, but Buggy getting some hype because of that Buggy starter deck. Let's take a look on here. Buggy OP09. Where are you? Here you are. Here you are. Yeah, about £25. It's not too bad. It's about the same, right? Yeah, I think £25 and $33 is basically bang on. Risen a little bit from sort of around 20, about £5 increase. If you're a Buggy fan, get this sooner than later, because the alts have actually risen quite a lot more than the leader, which I guess makes sense because you need 4 of them, but still. Here's the Crocodile, for example. This was down at like $7, and now you're looking about 15 for a copy. It sold a lot on sort of a couple of days. Price skyrocketed. And yeah, now you're looking at 15. I picked up one of these, I believe. It's either 1 or 2. I think just one. I got one of the ones that was still cheap before the buyout finished. Yeah, in the EU, you can still get this for around £7. But UK is quite a lot higher, I believe. So I looked at getting more of these. Oh, there's one for 10. I'm low-key tempted by that. We're going to do a card market purchasing live on stream. I'm going to put that in my cart. So no one else can have it. I'm going to consider buying that. We'll take a look at that seller's other listings later. When I've finished recording. But yeah, this Crocodile shot up quite a bit. Steady increase. This and some other alts have started to rise. Mihawk, look, it's the same graph. It's exactly the same graph. What's this one like now? In the EU, I've got a couple more of these as well. Do you know what? £6? Yes, please. That's a bargain. £8, 7-day trending. Clearly on the up. This was as low as 5, apparently, which is nuts. Like, this is just a good card. Even outside of Buggy, this is one that you could always consider. It's like a big queen, right? If this guy had counter, I think he'd genuinely be a fairly common blue staple. But the fact this doesn't have counter does kind of suck. And last for the Buggy alts, the big man himself. And Loki, I think this one has risen the most, right? $10 to 22. And this art's lovely. I really, really like this art. Some people I know prefer like the wanted posters. And they're beautiful to have as a collection. But I think in the decks, like, this is so colourful in real life. If you've seen this card, you know what I mean. The colours just really pop. I'm a big fan of this one, especially considering the base version is a rare. Like, the rares in this game look pretty good, but they don't look that good. But there you go. There's the rare. And now look at him. Look at him go. And this is around £15 in the UK. Let's take a look at Europe mainland. It's always cheaper in Europe. Around sort of 11, 12 we're looking at. Couple cheaper, around 10. Steady increase, 7-day trending at 11. And yeah, you can see it's sort of risen from around 8, 9 to that sort of 11, 12 pound price mark. These buyouts in the EU just aren't as big. I don't know if we have more stock overall, or we have less people who just go out and buy all of them. Because, I mean, I'm guilty of, like, buying a couple copies when a card gets good, right? For my deck. But you get some people in America, you look at some prices, and then you go, oh, this guy's got one, this guy's got one, this guy's got 50. Oh, I see. I see what's going on here. You don't really get that in the EU. So, interesting. This was... I was watching Eggman's stream earlier this week. This one is a bit of an Eggman-induced buyout. He was playing a Supernova's build of Nami with this lore in it. This lore's pretty cool. It just forces your opponent to take a life. It's not bad for a burn deck like Nami, right? Kind of adjacent to the 6-cost Big Mum, but this is searchable because he's a Supernova in the Supernova build that Eggman was playing. And then sort of live on stream, he went and bought a bunch for his deck, of course. Eggman's on Scalper. He was buying some for his deck, and everyone in the stream was buying some as well. So, low-key, I think this sort of happened a little bit before that stream as well, apparently. But it was definitely contributed to a little bit by the Eggman Supernova Nami stream, which was really cool. I was live there for that. Quite amusing. But yeah, this card is an option in Nami. I think generally I prefer the Big Mum. Just always being guaranteed to have its effect. If your opponent just doesn't have 6 or more cards in their hand, this is really bad. And the fact that it's a brick kind of hurts it quite a lot too. I'm interested to see what this is like in the EU. So this is not one I went out and bought. Yeah, you can pick this up for like £5. There's other versions too. This is the most common one. It's about the same price though, about £4 or £5. If you want to pick these up for experimentation in Nami, this price is not that bad. I wouldn't pay this though. There's clearly been a buyout, right? It's unnecessary. One that I think is actually quite cheap at the minute is this Boa PSA promo leader. However, I do think this for $57 is a pretty cheap price. I mean, when this came out, it was like hundreds, and now it's quite a lot lower. And here's one that will actually be cheaper in America than the EU. And we'll go on this one, show the versions. Here we are. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. £90. If you want to buy this in the EU, £90. That's crazy. Let's put that in here. 120. So yeah, it's like twice the price. Twice the price of this card in America. Just because we have so many fewer people who are actually signed up to the magazine. So it's quite hard to get these. Here's the last one. It's the PSA Luffy. What's going on with this graph? It's just nobody buying this. I really feel like this is damaged. This is damaged. For 125, that's gone up a bit, right? I don't know. This graph, there's no way that like 4 people have bought this in the last year. There's something going on with this one. But yeah, this in the EU has risen a lot. This has risen a lot. Where are we? We'll go here. We'll go to the versions. I've got this one. This is the one I bought, and £140, and that is $190. If you like purple Luffy, or just collecting leaders, I think this one's pretty good. At this sort of 125 price, they're not making more of these. So this is only going to go up realistically, especially if purple Luffy stays good, which, with how generic he is, I think he's likely to just remain good for the foreseeable, which is pretty cool. So I highlighted this one around 2 weeks ago. In fact, it was 3 weeks ago in This Week in One Piece. And I've just checked the price from my video. This was $3.50. So I guess this was really about the lowest point for this card. And since then, it's been a massive buyout. I mean, to be fair, these numbers are low. This is a really old promo. This is from Pirates Party Volume 1. Good luck. Good luck getting your hands on these. $17 though, man. That's quite the increase. I was watching the VV Theory stream last night, and he was looking at the TCG player, like prices for cards, and I put in chat, check out the King of the Pirates card. I'm thinking, oh, it might have gone up to maybe $5-6. Nope, it's just 17 now. This is the price. That's crazy. Let's take a look at the Let's take a look in the EU. Surely this is not crazy. Yeah, okay. If you're a believer in this in Green Zorro, because that's where this is starting to see play, you can buff up your Zorro and then swing multiple times with him. If you're a believer on this, buy your copies now. This is 50p from the EU, or $17 in the States. This has got to be the biggest price difference of any card, right? That's insane. $17 is nuts, because this isn't even guaranteed in Zorro. It's like an option that people are testing. And I sort of highlighted to say, this is a really fucking old promo. If this is good, the price will be silly. But you don't know yet. And the price is now silly. At this point, I'm kind of hoping it's not good. Because I don't want people to have to pay, like... If this sees success, if this starts topping, I mean, this could go crazy. We saw Gordon hit, what, like $50? And Gordon was, I believe, way more printed than this. Because Gordon was given out as a movie promo. And in the EU, we were still getting given Gordons at that point when Gordon was $50. Like, you were still being given that out at the Bandai official stores. I actually made quite a bit of money getting Gordons off my homies at the Bandai stores and then selling them to Americans. Which was crazy. I was giving the Americans a great deal, like 25% cheaper than the TCG player. But for me, it was like double the price. It was crazy. That's a bit of a Marine for TCG lore moment. But either way, this King of the Pirates card, at this point, I hope this doesn't see play, because this price is crazy. Last one I want to check out off the dome is Momonosuke. The yellow Momonosuke from set 6. Has he increased at all? No, he's still very cheap. If you're a believer in Yamato, make sure you got your playset of these, because this is likely to see play in that. It's just a 5-don blocker that says heal. It's pretty good. A little surprised this hasn't risen at all, but, you know, it is what it is. So thank you for watching this week in One Piece. I've been Marine for TCG. Let me know what you think of those new promos. Are you as underwhelmed as I am, or do you think they're going to see a little bit more success? Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.